TravelWise with Phil Blizzard. News, views and interviews.
TravelWise podcast in association with Surf Radio, and we're coming from a rather unique location in Hua Hin, southern Thailand. Richard Jackson, thank you very much for letting me join you on Surf Radio.
Oh, it's good to see you again because we've known each other for many years, and you come out here occasionally on vacation and point a microphone in my direction, so it's great to see you.
Normally an annual event. For some reason we didn't catch up last year. But where are we, and how often do you come up here for the radio?
We're at the Wildlife Friends Foundation, which is just north of Hua Hin, which is, say, 3 hours drive south of Bangkok, about 200 kilometers south of Bangkok. So we're inland quite a bit between the coast and Myanmar.
Right. Going to talk about what is here at the foundation. But first of all, this radio station has been set up. It's a radio station in fact. Tell us what you've got here.
Well, the foundation, they actually sponsor the radio station to come out here every Sunday morning and broadcast a 4-hour radio show, which I end up presenting usually. And often I'll bring out a friend or two and we'll have a bit of fun with it as well. And there are often quite a lot of guests staying here, so we'll involve them from time to time.
Well, you've got a couple of laptops here, you've got a mixer, microphones, a radio, and that's it, basically. As I said, a radio station in a bag. And it's been a pleasure talking to you during your show. We were talking about what we can see here, what I can see, and also about the traffic situation between Bangkok and Hua Hin, which is, sort of a bit slow at the moment because of a hold up on the main road.
Well, there was a major disaster there just a few days ago when part of the overhead crane on the overhead expressway collapsed onto traffic. I think there were 2 deaths as a car got crushed in that fall. And it's not the first time there's been an accident. There have been a whole series of these over the past few years.
So your radio program has been putting out information like that to help people navigate the roads between Hua Hin and Bangkok, vice versa. Also news of events happening in Hua Hin over the next few weeks. So information-packed program lasting 4 hours. And key thing was here today. We arrived at 7:30 and it was like feeding time for the elephants. That was fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. Every Sunday morning the elephants get fed by the volunteers, and they have about 100 volunteers here, many of which actually pay to come and volunteer over several weeks or even several months.
Yeah, sure. And as you said, you talk to guests. I'll be talking to a couple of guests on this podcast. First of all, I'll be talking with the guy who set it up, the guy behind the foundation. Also, I think that we've got Dan the radio man from America, Chicago, joining me at some point. But tell us a bit more about the setup here. We've got a delightful setting. We're on the terrace of the lodge, and you can actually stay here. There's rooms, accommodation, nice swimming pool over there. But the backdrop, it's the animals, isn't it? So in front of us, we have got elephants, we've got apes, and a few other things roaming around.
Well, in fact, there are over 900 animals that reside here at the Wildlife Friends Foundation. In fact, I haven't seen them all, but just in front of us is the elephant area, several acres of land where I think about 10 or 11, 12 elephants are able to come and roam during the day. But the radio station is set up here every Sunday, and I picked a nice area just a little separate from the tables and chairs of the restaurant, just outside on the terrace. And the radio is really to serve Hua Hin. It's all in English. It plays lots of oldies, plus a few new tracks. And we have some local people presenting. And I come out here with friends every Sunday to do the morning show.
And a bit later on we'll get out information, because surf radio is international these days. Like all radio stations, you can listen online, listen to your computer and so on. But as you said, we're on the terrace to one side. It got very busy at one point with people coming up here for the morning tour, and there's buses or open top vehicles taking people on a tour. So it's quieting down now. They're off seeing the animals, aren't they?
Yes, they are. And it's something I think everybody should do is basically come and have a look. Take part in the tour, or if you don't do that, at least go to Stripes restaurant, which is about 1 kilometre from here, and there next to that restaurant is the tiger enclosure.
Oh wow.
So they've got several areas of ground designated to pairs of tigers.
Okay.
So you can often see the tigers out there sunning themselves or jumping in the water to cool down.
So TravelWise, looking at the Wildlife Friends Foundation here in Thailand and looking at the activities, the animals, talking to the guy who set this up 20 years ago, I believe. So we'll get full information from Edwin. And also he likes to give information of what's happening in the region when it comes to wildlife. So some interesting stories which he had on the radio program a little while ago.
Yes, we did. He talked about the fact that a tiger has been spotted, which is a little unusual because we thought most of them had disappeared. But obviously there is a tiger that's come around, and it seems to have been looking for a mate and traveling over a wide area around here, maybe over a distance of sort of 60, 70 kilometers. Which is quite something. Also, a black leopard has been spotted a few times just in the local national park.
So you've become something of a wildlife expert, aficionado of wildlife here, doing this program, as you say, on a regular basis. I'll catch up with you in a bit. We're going to have a few words now with Edwin about the lodge and what they've achieved so far.
TravelWise with Phil Blizzard. News, views and interviews.
TravelWise podcast, and good catching up with Richard on Surf Radio. And now moving across to Edwin Wiek, who's the person behind the Wildlife Friends Foundation here in Thailand. So thanks very much for joining us. Give us an overview. How long have you been running, and what's the main aim of the foundation?
Been running WFFT since the 1st of May 2001, so almost 25 years ago.
Wow.
And the main objective was to rescue, rehabilitate and release wildlife back to the wild where possible. But it took me less than a year to find out that most of the animals that we rescue cannot be released back to the wild.
What, they're in such a poor state, or?
Animals have been too long with humans, have maybe never lived in the wild. Some animals are injured. Some of them are actually, I would say, mental restrictions. And then, of course, where is still wild area found where these animals could live, it's not always easy.
Okay. Well, let me set the scene as I've done so before. We're at the lodge and we're overlooking the area where you got an island there for the apes. And I must say that when we arrived at 7:30 this morning, it was a bit chilly. I was surprised, but it was feeding time for the elephants, which was fascinating. It was their breakfast, and the elephants you have here. Which part of the world do they come from?
Well, we have the Asian elephant in Thailand, and you could probably split them into 3 different kind of subspecies. The ones in India, the ones here are a bit smaller, and then you have the pygmy ones on the island of Borneo. The Asian elephant, it's basically one of 2 main species, the African and Asian, and the ones in Thailand are, I would say, large. Not as large as I said in India, and not as large as in Africa, but for a female, 4,000 kilos is quite average, and for a male, up to 5 tons.
So what is the situation regarding elephants here in Thailand in terms of how they can be used? Because they were used a lot for logging, weren't they?
Yeah, Thailand has makes a difference between wild elephants that are highly protected and captive elephants that are actually tradable with paperwork, of course, from one person to another. It's basically like livestock. So we have a huge, way too big captive population in Thailand with over 3,500, maybe 4,000 elephants in captivity, and approximately the same amount of 4,000 in the wild.
Okay, so elephants, a key aspect of what you're doing here. What is the range of animals? What species do you have?
Well, we have over 70 different species of animals walking around here, over 900 in total on an area of 140 hectares. So that's 280 soccer fields.
That's huge, massive.
Yes, it's a huge amount of space, but also a huge amount of animals. Well, when you think about the species, when I go from big to large, we have, first of all, about 20 elephants. We have over 40 bears of 2 different species. We have tigers, leopards, fishing cats, leopard cats, even 1 puma. We have apes here, like orangutan and chimpanzee. We have almost 100 gibbons. We have over 400 monkeys of macaque species and langur, etc., etc. We have over 3 dozen otters. Wow, there are so many.
Yeah. And I mean, looking around, it's a fascinating location with the backdrop of the mountains behind us, and also, we're here at the lodge, so people can they come and stay or?
Yeah. When we started doing tours, people came here for a day trip to see the work of the foundation, and a lot of people were like, "Wow, I wish I could stay a night. It's so nice here. I would like to stay a night over." And often we had sponsors, from Western countries, companies, other foundations, and we started with 3 little lodge rooms in the forest that were quite nice. I would say like a 3-star hotel kind of quality, air conditioning, hot water, things that most of us here didn't have yet at that time. And it became very popular. People kept on coming back, and then tourists were asking, "Can we stay overnight?" And in the beginning, we were hesitated quite a lot. More people on the ground means a lot more work, and you have to monitor it all. But eventually, just before COVID, actually, we made the decision to open up a little resort with about 12 rooms, small restaurant, and let people stay over. And then COVID came. It all collapsed. There was no business, no people, no tourists, no visitors. But after COVID, since 2023, I would say it all boomed, and we're doing really well at the moment. Yeah.
So for people who fancy the idea of coming here, and I must say, it reminds me very much. I was based in the Middle East in Dubai, and there's one of my favourite places was the Al Mahar Desert Conservation Area, and they had a lodge set up, and you had the watering hole in front, and you could stay there in a lodge, and you can see the gazelles coming down to the watering hole. So it's a similarity with that in many ways. People want to come here. How do they make a booking? Is it through one of the big booking agencies?
Well, you can find a lodge on the online travel agencies like Booking.com and Agoda, of course. But you can also find our website, basically WFFT.org, and you can go on staying over. Click on that link, you get to the page of the Elephants Lodge. Yeah. It's a bit of a strange name, I Love Fans, but if you say it very quickly, it's theelephants.org. So people can stay overnight here and enjoy, seeing wildlife close to the wild, roaming around in relative freedom. We have a great restaurant, and the sunset is something you never forget with the elephants in the background.
Brilliant, yeah, sure. And that's one aspect. The other aspect you're saying you do tours, half-day tours and full-day tours. Yeah. Again, go to your website for further information, I suppose. Yeah,
you can find everything on the website, and you should remember there's no such thing as bathing elephants, swimming with elephants, riding elephants. It's all ethical what we do here. But it still has to be fun for people too. Yeah,
sure. Ethical tourism is very important. And you also have on the way in, I saw the hospital, building for the hospital. So how is that used?
Well, we have our own wildlife hospital with 4 full-term veterinarians working there and 4 support staff as vet nurses. We have cases every day. It's monkeys that are hit by cars, deer shot by people. It could be any kind of other animal.
So it's beyond the animals.
It's beyond the animals out here. No, we have a lot of cases. Half of the cases in the hospital are actually from outside.
So I'm thinking, it's an enormous setup, as you alluded to. So you rely a lot on volunteers, I believe. So how can people get involved?
Well, we have volunteers, about 50 every week here from all over the world. And the great thing is that these volunteers not only lend a helping hand, but they also ears and eyes and make sure that our quality of work, the quality of care that we give for the animals is upgraded as we go. Okay. Instead of having a closed project where nobody can see what's going on, we have people coming in and giving us ideas what we could improve, and they help actually improving. Yeah. So that's amazing.
Well, great talking to you. Final question really. You're from which country?
I'm from the Netherlands, yeah.
What brought you here?
I came to Thailand in 1988. And at that time, I was in the fashion industry.
Fashion?
Yes, that's what I was doing at that time. I had a very bad car accident in 1999. I survived it, as you can see. And that made me realize that there was more in life than just business. Yeah. And I always wanted to do something for animals. As a child, I wanted to be a veterinarian. I never had the opportunity. But I'm doing okay now.
Okay. Well, Edwin, wish you well, and thank you very much for joining us here on this TravelWise podcast. And it's been great catching up with Richard as well. And we'll have a few more words from him a bit later on. And also one of the guests from America who's fascinated and delighted with what you're offering here. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
TravelWise with Phil Blizzard. News, views and interviews.
TravelWise podcast coming from the Wildlife Friends Foundation in Thailand, up the road from Hua Hin. This is part 2. Been catching up with Richard with his live show a little while ago. And I've got another radio person with me. Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Dan Martin. I'm from the little town of Watseka, Illinois, back in the United States. And my family runs a 50,000 watt AM/FM radio station.
Now, that's a long way to travel, isn't it? So I'm looking at the time here. It's 9:45 in the morning on a Sunday. What time is it where your radio station is?
13 hours difference, so it'd be 7:45 p.m. in the town.
So what's brought you to Thailand and specifically this location?
Well, it's awful cold back in the States during the wintertime, so we don't like to stay there when it's cold, and it's very nice here in Hua Hin, so we decided to come to Thailand this year and really enjoy it. Beautiful, beautiful area. The foundation does amazing work.
We've been talking about the view earlier on, and what you can see in front of us. We've got the mountains over there heading towards, Burma, Myanmar, which is in the west, of course. In front of us in the foreground, there's a little island, Monkey Island, with the sort of monkeys and apes leaping around on the trees. And what's caught your eye in terms of the animal wildlife? Yeah, well, the elephants. The elephants are a big size, so they just stroll through here as they're all happy and glad to be part of the foundation. And yes, all the animals are very well taken care of here, you can tell. Anything like this back home? Yes, we have some small ones. More generally in the state of Florida, you have a few wildlife centers. Where we are, we're farm related, so every farm has their own wildlife. Yeah, right. Well, this is very much a very key attraction for people coming to Hua Hin, this part of Thailand, and it's off the beaten track, about 40 minutes from the town centre. So how did you find out about this? I found out about it through TripAdvisor, and we're a big fan of TripAdvisor since we travel throughout the world. We use that for just educational purposes, but yes, it was so easy for us to hook up, to come out here. The van picked us up at the hotel, and very, very friendly. And for our listeners on the TravelWise podcast, what would you highlight about Hua Hin? Why select Hua Hin? Hua Hin is a community that serves probably more of the elderly people in the Thailand area, so it's so more calm. So what are we doing there? We're far too young to be at classes. Well, I know, but it's part of the system to where it takes the pain away, and it's nice to go to bed early. Okay, so you're not a party animal? No, that's why you're here, of course, out in the... if I wanted that, I'd stay to Bangkok. Yeah, right, okay. So you mentioned about using TripAdvisor for your travels around the world. Where else have you been recently? We traveled in through Mexico. We've traveled all through Europe. We've been through Italy. Just about everywhere in the world. Japan. Okay. But we have not been through all of Thailand, so we're probably going to stay and travel through Thailand and then go into Vietnam and Cambodia. I was going to ask you what's going to be your next port of call, but you say Cambodia and Vietnam. Cambodia and Vietnam would be the next point of call, and then we would come back to Bangkok and spend a few days in Bangkok and then fly back to the States. Lovely weather here at the moment. So when are you going to be traveling back to the cold of America? We'll go back to the cold about the middle of March. Okay. Well, so we came the middle of December, and then we would go back in the middle of March. Okay. Dan, thanks very much for talking to us. Thank you. Thank you. Podcast. You do a great job. Thank you very much indeed. Coming to you from the Wildlife Friends Foundation in Thailand, doing a marvellous job here. More about this on this TravelWise podcast.
TravelWise with Phil Blizzard. News, views and interviews.
TravelWise coming from the Wildlife Friends Foundation, the lodge here. What a wonderful morning it's been, and just listening to the sounds emanating from the animals, the apes there, some fascinating sounds coming across. Richard, thanks very much for inviting me up here. It's been an eye-opener, really, because we know the beaches and the restaurants of Hua Hin, but to travel up here 40 minutes away, not that far, it's been a great experience. So for people who want to listen to surf radio, what's the important information? How can they do so?
Well, if you go to our website, which is do the W's, then it's surf.radio. No.com, it's surf.radio. Then you'll find us there and you can hear us there. Or just search Surf Radio on any radio app, or also we're in Apple CarPlay and all the usual places where you can listen to internet radio.
And to finish off, you do a lot of outside broadcasts, major events in the region. So give us some idea of what's coming up over the next few months.
Well, that's a very good question. No, there are golf tournaments that we attend. Often most of those are charity fundraising events. There are also football tournaments that we take the station to. We don't do commentary as such on these, but we just talk to people like you and me about the events and see what's going on, because we are a music station primarily. You're looking at the colour of it, aren't you? Yeah, we're just getting a flavour, and just to really plug the station in and make sure listeners are aware that things are going on. And I remember coming on January, February months. Yeah. There's been the big tennis tournament, a part of the... Yes, absolutely. ATP or the... And we'll broadcast from there quite often at the arena, which is in Hua Hin. It's a huge international tennis tournament. You know, I mean, world-class international players come out and play here.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Richard, thanks very much for joining us. It's been great having you on the TravelWise podcast with Surf Radio, and TravelWise available on all good podcast channels and also on YouTube.
TravelWise with Phil Blizzard. News, views and interviews.
And if you'd like to have your own podcast, do drop me an email on philblizzardmedia@gmail.com.
A Phil Blizzard radio production.
Available on Apple, Amazon, Angami, Spotify, Deezer, and all good podcast channels, and also now on YouTube.